Welcome to Agency Bytes, a podcast for agency owners, hosted by agency veteran and coach Steve Guberman. Agency Bytes is a podcast focused on delivering actionable agency information from agency experts in about 25 minutes. Why 25 minutes? Because who has the attention span for much more these days? And you can squeeze in a listen between meetings with time for a bathroom break or coffee refill before your next meeting.
Welcome to Agency Bytes, a podcast dedicated to helping agency owners thrive. I'm Steve Guberman from Agency Outsight, where I coach creative entrepreneurs to build the agency of their dreams. Today, my guests are David Yassky and Jacquelyn Laufer from Driver Digital. Combined, they bring a wealth of experience in fashion, retail, and e-commerce. David, a creative leader with over 18 years in the industry, has worked with brands like Tory Burch and Gap, while Jacquelyn, an expert in e-commerce and digital marketing, has scaled luxury brands such as Estee Lauder and Creed Boutique. Guys, I'm thrilled to have you here. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you. Great to see you, Steve.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm super curious about your guys' paths. You've been in business about 4 years now. Your paths to joining up and launching Driver. Maybe tag team that and give me kind of what the backstory is that brought you not to this day, but to building a successful agency so far.
David, you want to take that one?
I feel like you're good at this.
Okay. So funny. Both David and I were running our own respective agencies. Prior to that, David's background was in fashion and creative direction. And I was working on the agency side and then went on the brand side. And then we both, at the same time, ended up creating our own agencies. And David started Driver Creative, which is the creative arm to Driver Digital today. And I started Rebuild Girl, which is a project management agency. So a lot of brands would come to me saying, oh, we need a new e-com site or a new design. And I would always, send David as one of my preferred partners alongside other agencies. And David always won the business, like every time. It was like pretty wild. So we had the opportunity to work on several projects together over the course of running our own respective agencies. And then almost about 4 years ago, David came to me and he was like, I think we should join forces. What do you think about this? I was like, all right, let's give it a shot. So here we are today, and we're growing substantially. So.
And you've got a pretty hardcore niche carved out in fashion and luxury brands. Yeah. Do you play in other industries as well?
Yeah, I would say that is definitely our specialty. So fashion, beauty, hair care, home, lifestyle is really our focus. I think we're definitely positioned as a creative digital agency. So our primary deliverables really are user experience design, digital design, and web design development, and specifically within the e-commerce ecosystem and Shopify at that. So we're a Shopify partner. We're in New York City, if you can't hear the sirens.
New York decided to say hello in the podcast today.
Then you really know that we are. I'd put myself on mute, but then I wouldn't be audible. So yes, those are our primary verticals. And yeah, Jackie's completely correct. We kind of linked up in 2017, started collaborating, and the collaboration just grew deeper and deeper and deeper and more consistent. And we figured, why aren't we kind of doing this together? So yeah, technology and e-commerce was not my background. I joke that I can barely turn on my own television, and somehow now I'm running a web agency. But I was so grateful. I really leaned into Jackie and Rebuild Girl in the beginning to kind of bring that confidence and expertise into a lot of our projects. And I've really learned so much from her in that regards. And now
he's definitely surpassed my my level of expertise.
He's figured out how to turn on the TV, and now he's a tech expert. Gotcha.
Yes.
But how were you winning all these web contracts that Jacquelyn was feeding you if you were kind of, tech inept, if you will?
Sure. So it really started with design deliverables. So a lot of the brands that we were working with at Driver Creative, particularly during the pandemic, when we were not physically able to assemble and do photo shoots, when people were not spending six figures, let alone way less than that on a photo shoot or an ad campaign.
Yep.
Everyone was like, our website, our website, our website, our website. And it started as small as, you're amazing. You guys are great designers. Like, can you like look at our homepage? Can you design a new homepage, et cetera, et cetera. So it started as design only projects. And then we started collaborating with an amazing Shopify developer who still consults with our agency named Mark Perini. And we pretty much brought him in as our exclusive development partner. And Jackie, myself, the driver creative team, and Mark really worked together on so many sites. And in that process, we gained confidence, more experience, brought in additional people, started to staff up. I think why we won the business is the business that we win 9 times out of 10 and the brands that we serve the best, they definitely, what they have in common is they put a premium focus, energy, and appreciation on design and user experience. Not every one of them has to actually be in the luxury category and a luxury price point, but regardless, they all prioritize and require that whatever they do is looked at it aspirationally, and they endeavor to elevate their product, the experience. They like storytelling. They like the concepts of editorializing content. I worked in fashion magazines for years, and my job was basically being a storyteller. So I think a lot of people were attracted to that. And we were able to show and prove that our dev chops were of equal caliber, and now certainly have become that. So I think that was really kind of a big source of our ability to win business, and trying as much to focus on those types of brands that we knew would appreciate that.
Yeah, I love that. I'm a huge fan of niching. I owned an agency for a bunch of years, and I fought it for a while. We want to be everything to everybody. And then I was like, wait, let's own a few verticals. And that's when the agency really skyrocketed. And so many agencies fight it. For you, it's been kind of your DNA even before the agency. And so it just makes sense. This is where we are experts and where we are comfortable and where people know us, to lean into that. But you're also kind of doubly leaning into a vertical of Shopify / e-com, things like that, and brand deliverables, which is great. When you guys partnered up, do you each own kind of your own side of the street, as far as, David, you're the design side, and Jacquelyn, you're the ops side of things, or like what's the definition there, and how do you guys define that?
It's definitely an ongoing, ever-changing roles and responsibilities. But yes, David oversees creative and personnel, and he's an incredible leader, whereas I usually like to work alone. So David definitely excels at the team management piece of it. And yeah, I support really on the digital solutions side, like helping brands when they're going through a large scale migration, and helping find like inefficiencies in their current business processes, or thinking about new tools that they might want to consider adding in their tech stack. And then obviously on the relationship side of things, just bringing in business. Those are the areas that I focus on.
I think.
Are you doing that same digital kind of innovation work for the agency and overseeing ops from a PM standpoint and procedures? Okay. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, we have an amazing lead PM right now who's really taking a lot of the operational piece. So I want to give her all the credit. So
I think also in the beginning, we thought we identified a much more binary, separation of roles, right? It's like, I'll do creative and XYZ, and Jackie, you'll do, PM, solutioning, account direction, all the e-com stuff. And then it's not that that's not the case anymore, but as business grows and as you become a crazy business owner, we just wear so many hats. So I think it's a good way to kind of bifurcate what we do best, but we both completely share business development, new business, outreach, proposals, and our projects touch every department. So we solution, we then win the business, we're designing, we're developing, we've got solutions, we're all collaboratively working together. And we definitely step into each other's roles to support each other, when needed. Yeah.
Love that. Yeah, I think as a partnership, I mean, I've coached so many agencies and been friends with so many agencies where there's partnerships and they just have no definition of like who's doing what on Tuesday or Thursday or Friday. And it's absolute chaos. Or they're cookie cutter, both creative director type folks. Why are you partnering if you're both the exact same people? You guys seem to complement each other really well. And even if you have like well-defined roles, it's okay if there's a bit of an overlap, like you're saying, in the biz dev area, or we're all consulting on creative solutions, things like that.
I agree. It's important. And I have seen that be a peril of partnerships when you want to do the same thing and you do the same thing. Not only is it inefficient because it doesn't serve the full needs of the business, but you're just personally not aligned. And it's, Jack and I often don't like to do the same things, which is really good because
That helps.
Yeah. And so that has been a really refreshing thing about this partnership and the way that we work together. And I know that doesn't exist in every instance.
Yeah. You guys have on your website a really great team video. It was like a holiday thing. Talk about your culture, because I think that probably exemplifies it pretty well, but like talk about the culture and what you guys do to foster it.
I'm going to let David take that one because I went into that project kicking and screaming, as he knows.
But then loved it. And so I am a creative, and it is important for me, and I think all of our team members actually are all of our team members are creative. Interestingly enough, our developers, one of them went to Parsons. Jackie is a very creative person. She has a lot of personal avenues in her life that are highly creative. Our designers are creative. And so it's important that that's a part of our job. And sometimes you think of technology or e-commerce or development. And it's important, I think, for all of us not to lose that. Additionally, a successful business is important to Jackie and I, and we love to earn beautiful incomes and hope that that grows. But having fun is very important to us. And neither of us would be happy as business owners if we were just killing it financially, but really unhappy or dissatisfied with the way the team and the culture was, or did not enjoy the types of clients we were working with. So it really just kind of hit home last year when we were talking about prioritizing joy, having fun. I think there's something refreshing about some levity and not taking yourself too seriously. And many of the relationships that are at their best with a lot of our clients have been relationships that have gotten and moved to be a little bit personal as well. So I think we knew that our clients and the type of people that we're in conversations with would most likely feel the same way. And so it was just this opportunity to do something fun that we thought would spread joy. It's about like do joy, be joy. And it was an opportunity to get together, and I'm a frustrated dancer, and Jackie is an amazing performer. And it was also an opportunity to show us some of our, skills and storytelling that we do on the creative side of things. And so I was like, if we're going to do this, let's do it really well. So we used the DPs and the producer and the director that we've used for Bergdorf Goodman and some of our Anne Klein films. And I was like, let's just really have fun and not take ourselves too seriously. And we kind of put that towards the holiday initiative as opposed to traditional client gifts and things like that. And it was a lot of fun. And can't say that everything that was going on last year in terms of the world, politics, business is like super fresh in my head, but we just remembered that it felt like the right time to do something like that. So that was really how it all came to be. And our team is close. We're 9 people. We care about each other. If you have a 100-person organization and there's like a couple of bad eggs, it's barely felt and noticed. That's not the case in a small business. So it is important to us to kind of like each other and feel positive about what we're doing. That's definitely a big portion of it.
It was also very helpful to be in dance classes burning calories before the holidays came around. So that was the thing I was focused on
Yeah.
during that shoot.
Let's be clear, there were rehearsals, there was a choreographer. Like this was, yeah. And so it's funny.
Production value was very high. That's
Yeah.
for
I
sure.
thought it was just a one take wonder. Like you guys were just like that magically in tune. But okay, there was rehearsals. I didn't know that.
Too
There
kind,
was
Steve. No, it was very intense.
So that was a singular event. But how do you like? What do you do on an ongoing basis to foster the culture of joy and wanting to care about one another, and just carrying that through on the day to day, week to week when deadline stresses are pending, and families and political chaos and who knows whatever else is going on in the world. Like, how do you maintain a culture of wanting to find those moments for joy?
I think that David does a really exceptional job at this. I try to live my life authentically and true to how I'm feeling, and I really try to stick to business at hand, truthfully, so that way I don't get too bogged down personally. Um, but David is such a strong leader and he's like the best version of a CEO, someone that can like inspire and get people all motivated. So that's the balance between the two of us.
I think we all do a good job of that, and Jackie definitely deserves credit. I think because I know that we all want the same environment, although we may have different personalities and approach it differently. This is not either of our first time at this rodeo. We've all had careers working. Jackie and I have had careers working for big corporations. We've had small businesses. I had a startup in 2010 that failed. So I just think we've learned a lot about the kind of way we want to spend our time. And have learned from good examples and less than good examples. I think Jackie and I have a lot of empathy, and we are very logical and level-headed. So our team gets that from us. We do every Monday, we have an hour team meeting. And it is a great opportunity for us to catch up. We talk about how our weekends were. We share interesting things. And it's a nice time to all be on the same page. Our project manager, I have to give her full credit for, with Jackie's suggestion, she started a daily stand-up, and it's in Slack. It's a digital daily stand-up. You answer 5 questions every day without fail. And the 5th question is a random bonus question, and we all answer it every day. And the things that we have learned about our team members is so fascinating. It's everything from like a favorite movie to today was like our project manager is taking her daughter to like the New Jersey State Fair for her birthday. So today's was like, okay, guys, like, what is your favorite fair food of all times? And people will say the most insane things that I would like never have guessed, and you learn a lot about each other that way. So I think our daily stand-up, our weekly team meetings, we 6 of us, we're not all in New York City, but 6 of us are, and often meet together 2 days a week at our shared office space. We go across the street to the Standard Hotel and have drinks together. We have individual touch bases with the people that we manage. It's good vibes. And I think Jackie and I have just learned a lot about the way we would like to be treated and the environments we've been in before. So there is logic and levity applied to even the stressful moments, it seems like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a good reminder to always be like, okay, we are not, curing cancer or, doing something that's life or death, where it's just important to keep that in mind and have that perspective, I think, as well. So.
Yeah, level-headed perspective goes a long way of like, hey, let's pump the brakes, take a breath, have a hug, whatever's needed, because like this is not the end of the world if X, Y, and Z goes this way or doesn't go this way or whatever. And I also love how you kind of outline the perspectives of like, yeah, we want to make a good living and we want to work on good clients and good work and we want to have fun. And none of those need to be compromised in order to achieve the other. And there's again, there's this kind of, I don't know, toxicity to the hustle movement of like, I need to work 24/7 and sacrifice my happiness to make X amount of dollars. And I just don't believe that that's true. And I've witnessed it, and I've experienced, and I've helped other people, experience it of like, I can work with good clients. I don't need to work 100 hours a week, and I can make a good living. Surprise. Like, there doesn't need to be a compromise. Like, all of that can be manifested and can be true. And you guys seem like you've got that going for you, which I really admire.
Thank you.
Thank
We're
you.
really big into relationships with our clients as well. I feel like, as David had mentioned, some of our clients they've become personal friends of ours. And even as they may have left the client that we're still working with today, we still remain in good touch. And that in particular is very important to me, is the client relations piece of it. So, having that as well.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I'm still friends with some of the clients that I had, and I haven't done client work in, I don't know, on my own agency in 10 years and somebody else's agency in 5 years. So that goes a long way. And I think that's a luxury. I don't think that always happens. I know it doesn't always happen, but it takes the relationship out of a transactional, I'm going to pay you for this, to now it's a little more fluid and comfortable. And as more opportunities come up, like, it's just beneficial for everybody.
Totally.
You get to know what somebody needs, what their pressures that they're getting from their boss are, or from their decision-making team. And so it makes work go a lot better when you're able to foster those kinds of relationships.
That's true.
Yeah. It's part of that time spent, right? And particularly those who are putting in some of the hours that you mentioned, potentially, yes, if you can control to a certain extent the environment, right? And that's the clients, but it's also, the team. So, and I think that's just another part of the, we'll accept as a compliment that you paid us about, like, our team. Some business owners or leaders, you put all the effort into the client relationships. And I think Jackie and I, particularly, interestingly enough, neither one of us are developers by trade. Our team is really, really important. If the team isn't here, if we're not jiving, if we're not thriving, if we're not performing, if we're not working well together, like, there is no business. That relationship is also super important. So I think that, like, relationships, as Jackie said, it's like, it's the word, it's our thing. We see it kind of all over the place with partners too, like tech partners, vendor partners. It's all just very much, I think those have been like our biggest successes when the relationships are working.
Are there things that you can identify that you do as leaders or as just part of the team in general, where when something comes up, you need to address it, and like what your style is in that sense? I'm thinking more internal with the team.
So, yes, I have a big part of my job now is people management, particularly as our agency has grown. It was myself and Jackie and our original designer, Tina. Like, it was as small as 3 in the beginning at times. We're 9 full-time, on staff, and we flex more with freelancers. So a larger part of my job has become people management, and I've had to work at it and learn hard. One of the things that I learned is that when I have feedback to share, is to do it immediately. And that has been really helpful. I think in older days or younger times, I might feel like I would want, 6 examples or several months to go by before I either felt comfortable or I thought it would be prudent to kind of try to course correct something. And I completely changed that. And if something happens that feels inauthentic to the agency culture or to the way that we handle business, or that we're dissatisfied with, or that we would like to see done differently, my absolute default now is to do it immediately. And it makes it so much easier. It takes the pressure off. It's like, you're not hearing about, a legacy of infractions. It's just, oh, I didn't realize that. Thanks for letting me know, like, that's the way you prefer it to be done here, or that you could have done it differently. And that has been really helpful. I think that's probably the biggest thing that I can think of that has been great. Also asking people a lot of questions, before just coming in at it, if they have feedback, might they have done something different? Would they change the way they handled it? Like, what might you do next time? Has kind of, been helpful approaches.
Being direct. I love that. I think that's kind of a lost art. People want to just, like you said, corporately, I need to build a track record before I can approach you about a challenge, or I'm going to dance around it, or be passive aggressive, or whatever you want to call it. And to just be direct and try and nip it in the bud, I think is super valuable.
Agreed. Yeah. Not always easy, but something I've been learning.
Takes courage. Absolutely. And as a leader, you have to, exemplify that and set the example for it as best you can. What are some resources or things that you guys have kind of leaned into to help elevate you as leaders as your team grows and you need more support?
Go ahead, David. Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of mentorship on all sides. I love the reciprocity of mentorship. When I was younger, I had two exceptional, extraordinary mentors that were really important to me. I think defining kind of cheerleaders, if you will, in my career. And when I probably got into my late 20s, early 30s, I started reciprocating and I had some really positive experiences with mentorship, being a mentor. And now on this journey, I know that my learning is not complete. So I actually have two mentors in my life right now that are specifically in the same field and are specifically agency owners. And that's been really important for me because this is not, in a lot of ways, not coming from tech. It's not my core deliverable, but it's just also sharing stories and sharing wins, sharing losses, from the people management stuff to like the really hard, tech stuff. I have a CTO that is a mentor of mine right now, and just that kind of level of insight is really, really helpful. There's several people that I follow in terms of like their blogs and their newsletters, LinkedIn, of course, reading books. I'm reading Atomic Habits right now. Can't believe I've never read that one. So
ever?
Not
Where
yet.
were you in the early 2000s when it blew up the internet? Come on, or whenever the heck that was.
I'd like to say I was a little bit too young / too something else. I don't know, but yeah. So those are some of my ways. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. What about you, Jack?
It's a great question. I don't view myself in a leadership position. It's strange. I view myself very much as, I view myself as experienced, obviously, but I think that my area is really just like with relationships and connecting people most of the time. Like that really is like what gets me going about this business. But yeah, I mean, in terms of just like growth as a person, I'm a big believer in therapy just in general. So I don't know if that counts. But yeah, I'm not too into like reading the leadership growth books like that, like the both of you guys are into. It's not my area of interest. So
that counts.
Truthfully.
That counts. Therapy counts. And that's
Therapy
like,
it counts 1,000 times over because A, it's so valuable, and B, there's so many people that want to shun it away until they realize just how impactful it is.
So
if
true.
You're not showing up as a better person, and you are a leader, believe it or not, both in your agency and in your community, in the design community, and you're building something that people are going to look up to if they're not already. And so there's a name attached to it, and there's talent behind it. And so if you're not able to show up for you inside and outside of the agency, then how can you show up for anybody else? So it's super, super valuable.
It's amazing. I definitely like think back like into the 80s and I'm like, therapy. I don't even think I ever heard the word until I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that we're in these different times where that's important.
It's got to be. I think it's vital. Absolutely. We all have something, so why not? Yeah. Let's address it head on, as David mentioned. You guys mentioned before we hit record, you're having a great year. We're about to hit Q4 in 2024. just to timestamp this thing. What do you attribute the success this year that you've had to? Or
We've
maybe it's
just
not one
had,
thing, but
I think this goes back to the relationship piece. There has been so much new business that's come to us based off of our previous work from the years that we've been developing this. So, we're about to sign a project that I won't be able to say the name of this one yet because we haven't signed yet, but it's due to the work that we had done that we released last year. So, it's great to have that kind of feedback on the work and for people to come to us based off of that experience. So I think, as long as we just keep delivering good quality work, I think that the business will continue to grow. We've been really lucky this year with the projects that have come our way, and it's all been through our relationships and also from our previous work. So
I love that you define it as relationships, which is distinctly different from agencies that say all of our work comes from referrals, which I think is just good luck, and I don't think that that's a way to win. But you're intentional with the relationships that you build, and that's leading to more work. And
totally.
Creative, technical, strategic, whatever. I don't even think we're in the business of good design, although that's a byproduct. We're not in the business of websites that convert, although that's a great byproduct. You're in the business of relationships and taking care of people and allowing them to do what they do so they can take care of their people. And so you're winning at that big time. And there's the, boil it down to the kind of key to why you've had such a great year.
Thank you. Yeah, it definitely feels that way. And also, I was just thinking about how so many of our clients that have become close to us, and as they've moved on, and then things happen, and just being able to constantly connect people, whether you're hearing of a need at one organization or another. And I feel like that also has been really beneficial to us. It's we're thinking about people and their well-beings, and I think that it's reciprocal.
Yeah, I love that. Did you say no to work ever?
Yeah, absolutely.
That feels like growth, right? Because it was like unheard of in the beginning, right? You would never turn something down.
You can't in the beginning, yeah.
No. And I think to Jackie's point, like, and to our credit, right? Like the amount of inbound work now, the not having to rely as hard, it never stops, on the obsessive outbound, and being able to, with more integrity, know what's a good fit for the agency, for our people, for Jackie and me, for our output, and ultimately for the client, is refreshing. So we have been able to identify criteria in a handful of different ways to say no to something or to pass on something. And that's come with experience. That's just come with experience. And we do postmortems after every project, right? In the beginning, they were like we all just got together and like chatted about it. And like now, like, I quasi obsess over them, and there's like, forms for them and all of that, because so much learning is actually found in that about what we might want to change for the next one. And those have been helpful in realizing like, okay, this is, yes. So it's not super, super often, but we've been in the position to say no to some business. Yeah.
Feels good to say no.
Yeah, that's a great feeling. I remember that distinctly, and yeah, that's a great feeling. Random rapid fire question session. I'm going to just kind of throw them at you. You can go in whichever order you want. You can both answer it, or neither of you, or just one of you, whatever. And the answers, they don't need to be professional. They can be whatever. The first is, what's something that you guys can't get enough of these days that you're binging or want to jump back to, whether it's a book, a show, a podcast, a hobby, an activity, a thing that you're doing?
Jackie?
Oh gosh. Shows. I just ran through The Perfect Couple, and that was really, really fun. I don't know if anybody else has seen that. That was great. So that, yes, again, timestamps this podcast as to what was popular on Netflix. I'm a massive reader, so I'm constantly reading a lot of fiction or biographies. And it's terrible timing, I think, considering politics, but I'm reading The Handmaid's Tale right now. So wish me luck. Feels too real. So, David.
For me, it's tennis. I'm a big tennis player and I love tennis, and my ability to play it frequently like vacillates based on some circumstances and things like that. And I'm just very much back to being obsessed with tennis and loving it so much. And yeah, it's a big source of joy and stress relief for me. So tennis.
He's the male version
love that.
of Serena Williams.
Yeah. I am obsessed with Serena Williams. Yes, and
How could you not be? Yeah.
Timestamp this there's a newish docu out. It's called In the Arena with Serena Williams, and it's on Hulu. And it's really, really unbelievable, and it's all focused on the tennis and her career specifically in the matches. So, yeah, really great.
Awesome. What is something that you have recently integrated into your life that you look back and say, how the heck did I live without this thing? But it can't be AI, but it can be anywhere from a kitchen gadget to an app to a whatever.
God, that's a great question.
One thing that comes to mind, which is a little bit boring, is Notion. It's our project management tool at the agency. I don't know how we function or how I function now without it. We were like little tiny, like, Trello boards before. So Notion is something that comes to mind. Jackie, what about you? I'll see if I can think of anything more interesting.
He said kitchen gadgets, and I'm facing the kitchen. So all I'm thinking about right now is my oat milk frother. So
that's one of those magic wand things that spins around in the milk. Yeah.
Yeah. And
awesome.
It upgrades your tea in the morning or coffee in the morning. So
yeah, what about Notion is a magical tool, and it has transformed. I mean, I'll speak for agencies. I'm sure other industries as well, but it has transformed an infinite amount of agencies, and it is really, really spectacular. So I'm glad you're leveraging their power there.
What about you? This is a really good question.
I use a meditation app that I don't know how I lived without that. And I use these quick connectors for my garden hoses that are just life-saving.
Nice.
Very cool.
And then finally, what's an invaluable piece of business advice that you can share with the listeners?
I would say just trust your gut always. I think that's just a very good rule for life in general, but trust your gut.
Often forgotten, but really, really good. I think Jack Welch wrote about that in his book. Can't remember the name of it, but yeah, massively invaluable.
Yeah.
What about you, David?
Certainly agree with that. It's kind of three-ish answers in one, but being kind always. I don't think any harm can ever come from that. And it's a little bit part of the joy thing, but there are leaders and there are people that are generous with their knowledge and time and information, and there are ones that are not. So being generous with your of time, of spirit, of knowledge, and being kind is, I think, like why these relationships exist, why people want to work with each other, why our team members get along, and those types of things. So that is probably the biggest one. And then for me, now that I'm learning new things, it's staying curious also. So I know that I do not know all of the things. So I think I am a lot less rigid than I used to be, and I'm more agile, and I'm interested in learning, and I'm cool to experiment and, try some new things and all of that. And I know that part won't end. Like, you'll always need to keep trying new things and, sometimes going back to the drawing board.
I love that. I mean, listen, kindness, generosity, curiosity, like that's the DNA of a really, really good person / really good creative. And so, yeah, those all go a really long way. I love them. Yeah. So Jacquelyn, David from Driver Digital, thank you guys so much for sharing all of your experience with us. Really grateful for your time.
Thank you so much, Steve.
Thanks for having us, Steve. A lot of fun.
Thanks again for tuning in to Agency Bytes. If you know someone with expert knowledge on a topic that agency owners would love to hear about, go to agencyoutsight.com /podcast-guest and nominate them.